Well, the government has declared autism an epidemic, so much so that Robert F. Kennedy Jr., head of the Department of Health and Human Services, is launching a $50 million initiative to address it. And autism now affects 1 in 31 children, with boys nearly 4 times more likely than girls to be diagnosed with it. And this morning, as we wrap up World Autism Month, we are joined in studio by Kristen Selby Gonzalez. She is the president of Autism Hope Alliance, and her son Jackson, who is now 23, was diagnosed with profound autism when he was just 2 years old. But even with limited language skills, Jackson continues to amaze doctors and his parents as well. So I want to say first and foremost, thank you for being here with us, Kristen, and sharing your family's story this morning. And before we get into it, the first thing you said as we were sitting here chatting a moment ago was hope. And so we're hoping for folks to really feel that as we chat here. Let's talk about Jackson. When he was first diagnosed, a lot of parents have gone through this as well. What was that experience like for you and your family, and just how you felt at the moment?
I remember feeling like the world went from color to black and white. They had told us he was never going to look, he was never going to talk, and that he'd be in a group home by the time he was 8, that he didn't know the difference between me and the chair that I was sitting on.
Right.
And my biggest fear was, is he going to know that I'm his mama? Is he going to know that I love him? And let me just tell you, all the things they said he could never do, oh my gosh, he totally knows who I am. He loves me, and we have the greatest relationship.
I love that. And you know, you just saying that right now, there's someone who may have got a diagnosis last week, yesterday, a month ago. Hearing that, as you just mentioned, will give them hope. And we know that there's a spectrum, so there are different levels to this. Let me ask you this. There's a lot of folks we keep hearing more and more about kids who are being diagnosed with autism, and they would say autism is on a rise. And then there's some say, no, it's just that we're recognizing it more, where maybe decades ago we would just say, oh, it was something else, or we don't know. What are your takes on where we are with it?
You know, I think that if you look back in 1960s to now, right, if we were missing all these people that were autistic and they were, you know, put in a different category back then, we would be putting them in a category which we used to call mental retardation, which we call intellectual disability now. We'd be putting them in childhood schizophrenia. Those numbers then would be much higher from the 60s, 70s, 80s and on. Those numbers, if you look at the CDC, those numbers are pretty much the same as they were. So it's not as though we've missed those thousands and thousands of people. We are better at diagnosing, which means we can get help earlier on.
That's a great point. And maybe avoid some frustration from families, because you can at least have a path, right, to finding some hope and some answers there. What's the biggest misconception, or at least the biggest misconceptions that you would say about autism?
I think that so many think that kiddos, especially those that don't have language or limited language, that they don't understand that they're not really in there, that they don't have feelings and emotions. That is so far from the truth. Our kiddos out there of any age, and I say kiddos, and that means if you're 2, 52, 92, you're somebody's kiddo.
Listen, if you're a mom, you're somebody's your kid for sure.
You're somebody's kiddo, and they understand, and they are so brilliant, and they are so excited when they can be able to express. Sometimes they just can't express everything that they're feeling, but they are in there, and we just can't believe that just because they don't have language that they don't understand.
That's so true. One of my wife's closest friends, her brother, he's older, as you mentioned, he's someone's kiddo, but he's older now. But just to have seen his development over the years, we have a family member as well, as you mentioned, there's so much hope and there's so much growth that can happen if you continue to press forward. What causes it? Do we know more about kind of the impetus, the beginning of it? And I don't know if there's a term cure or if there's something that can help, you know, with developmental stages. Where are we when it comes to that?
Well, I think that's a gajillion billion-dollar question, right? And I think that we're going to hopefully see some type of answers like Robert Kennedy Jr. is saying in September, which I'm excited to hear what he has to say. I think there's many things that are contributing, whether it be the foods we're eating, the pollution in the air, and maybe genetics plays a part where our kiddos aren't methylating in the same way that others might be, right? So again, I'm excited to see what we see in September. That word cure is one of those words that some people get really offended with. I do not. I am excited that maybe if my kiddo can be independent at any age, right? That's what we want. We want our children to have the same hopes and dreams. So those families out there that are watching, that maybe their kiddos are more independent, those aren't the families we're talking to. We're talking to kiddos out there that aren't able to be living on their own, that the parents are afraid that one day they're not going to be here, and then what? So if you want to use the word cure, or you want to use the word that they can go after their hopes and dreams and live independently, sign me up for that.
Right. I think a lot of folks will sign up as well. I'll quickly get you out of here on this one. There's someone watching right now who maybe says, I have a friend or a family member, even just someone I work with. I want to help. I want to be more involved. What can they do?
You know what? If you see somebody out there in the community that basically is struggling, give empathy. give love. Don't judge them, right? If you have a family member, ask what you can do. Can you bring dinner? Can you maybe watch the sibling?
Yeah,
and at the end of
that's a
the
great
day,
point.
just know that these kiddos are capable of limitless growth, and don't judge these families. You know, they're going through a lot. Those mamas out there, they're having hard days,
Yeah.
you know? And so just remember, give love and give empathy.
Absolutely. Love and empathy. We could use a whole lot more of that. Kristen Selby Gonzalez, thank you so much. President of Autism Hope Alliance. Thank you for your time and being here. And again, spreading that love and hope as well.
Thank you for having us.
Appreciate it. Not a problem.